to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Fan Show. I'm Stu Whiffin. Joining me always, I forgot my own name.
Stu Whiffin.
I'm so used to you going,
You just forgot your name. What happened there?
I'm punch drunk, mate.
Oh my God. I'll announce myself. I'm Blake Harrison. Jesus, that was so weird. That was like you had a ghost had come to you or something. You're the only one that could see it. It's like one of those movies.
Got possessed.
Yeah. I'm Blake. Oh God, what was that? And you're like, what is it, mate?
God,
What
I'm
is
Stu Whiffin.
Well, look,
This is why you do the intros, mate.
This is what
Who's
what
the
happens.
actor, who's not?
This is what happens when you throw in a last-minute episode.
Yes.
Because this wasn't meant to happen. You're getting a bonus episode because, as you've probably read or clicked or whatever it is that you've done to view us now, you should be aware that UFC 300 now has a main event. And that main event... Wait.
We need to shout our sponsor.
Oh, God, here we go.
Ferocious Fightwear. If you need rash guards, if you need shorts, gum shields, wraps, all of that. Not wraps as in like wraps, but as in wraps.
What's happened to you?
I don't know. I've had 3 cups of coffee. I think I'm a little bit excited. But yeah, I'm excited because we've got a new sponsor and it's Ferocious Fightwear. So go check them at ferociousfightwear.com. Proud sponsors of the MMA Fan Show. Right. Let's try and pull this back on track. You've caught me off guard with this like last minute event.
I was going to get onto Ferocious Fightwear as well. I just wanted to announce this first.
Sorry,
Of course I was. We're very, very happy with Ferocious Fightwear. I'm very like this one. I can't move away from the mic, can I? Because then people can't hear me. But I really like the design of the bear in the gi.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. But anyway, enough about Ferocious Fightwear, our lovely sponsors. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the reason we're here, the reason we're chatting. Alex Pereira is taking on Jamal Hill for the light heavyweight title at UFC 300. That is our UFC 300 main event. It was announced, I believe, on Instagram by Dana White just shortly after Topuria won the belt against Volkanovski. Firstly, what's your reaction to this being the UFC 300 main event?
Right. I think this is a great fight.
I agree.
Okay. I think Pereira is fast becoming a big star. His fight style is so exciting. Really like former guest of the show, Jamal Hill. Obviously gave up the belt. And so this fight makes lots of sense. Now, UFC 300 has been, this headline fight has been teased to us for a long time. We've done a show about it where I thought it might be Ronda. You said Brock would be fun. We mentioned GSP. We mentioned Aspinall. We mentioned Izzy.
I think one of us also mentioned Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway, but who was that?
Unbelievable. Anyway. But we get given this. Now, look, any other card, if this is at the top, should be there. It's fantastic.
I agree.
But because of the hype, the gravitas of it being UFC 300 and Dana saying things, look, there's loads going on here, but, this is going to be amazing what we announce. I don't think this is going to appeal to the casual fan hugely. Keep in your mind that I've said this is a great fight because I don't want to take anything away from this fight. But I think we was hoping that we might see Conor. I think, there's time when I think we knew that wasn't going to happen. But then there was rumours of Pereira Aspinall, which I know you're not a fan of that fight, but it would have been a very crazy event to headline,
It would have been a bit more 300-y, I guess.
Exactly.
I hate the idea of Aspinall versus Pereira, but yeah, there would have been more of a 300 nature to that fight, I guess.
Absolutely. So I think we was expecting to see maybe the return of a legend, but if we know it's going to be a title fight, then there wasn't that many people available that have got straps. Aspinall being one, Pantoja and Pereira. I think that was it.
Well, DDP versus Izzy was I thought that was going to be the one. I thought Dricus would turn around quick and fight Adesanya. That's what I really thought was going to happen.
Before we break down this fight, how we see it, so the other person that's got a strap is our very own Leon Edwards. And what I thought was fantastic was the interview with Dana, where he said in the UFC 298 post-fight conference, he said he'd called up Leon with 3 different opponents over however many months this has been going on. And Leon said, yes, yes, yes. And then Dana refers to him as an absolute stud. Fucking hell, he's great, Leon Edwards, isn't he?
I think it's what a turnaround that is, because it was only a little while ago Leon was taken out of the rankings because they were annoyed at the fact that he didn't fight Khamzat, even though one of them was, I think, Khamzat got COVID. One of them was Leon got COVID. Or another situation was that Leon was asked last minute to fill in and replace someone to fight Kamaru Usman for the belt. And he said, no, because I can't train because it's lockdown in the UK. I can't even train, so it's impossible for me to do. And Leon was, the UFC were not happy with him a couple of years ago. Flash forward to now.
Go back even like another year or so, and he was in the club. He was in that bleak club that Bilal's in there, where the UFC weren't really paying him much attention. And we've seen Head Kick Dead, and then everything else that's followed that's turning Leon into an absolute star. I wonder, so let's look at them 3 fights, what we think. It's going to be guesswork, right? Surely Bilal has to be one of them. But the addendum to that would be, was he? Because is that a UFC 300 headliner? Looking at what they've announced, I now believe it is. Because Bilal is not a fan favourite. People do not like his fight style. And as much as Leon in the UK is a big star, I'm not sure he's big-time box office globally at the moment. No. I think he's getting there. So I wonder what them fights were. And so let's start with, do we think Khamzat was one of them?
The rumour is that Khamzat was one. That's the strongest rumour going around, was that Khamzat was on offer. And that makes sense because Khamzat's a huge star. Khamzat is a potential 300 guy. What doesn't make sense about that is the last time Khamzat tried to make 170, he rolled in at 178 and completely messed up an entire card that was supposed to be a way of getting rid of Nate Diaz in a negative way. And Nate Diaz ended up doing Nate Diaz things and beating Tony Ferguson because they had to rejig that card around. It doesn't feel like a sensible thing to go for, but that's the rumours going around, was that Khamzat was there. But that just kind of boggles my mind a little bit, just that how would he get down to 170 now? But anyway, what were you going to say?
Why are these 3 people saying no?
Well, it depends. Khamzat surely would be something to do with the weight or something. Maybe he's injured. I don't know. Khamzat put up that photo of him being very ill a little while ago, didn't he? Where his face was all swollen up and stuff.
Okay.
I think Bilal was asked. I think Bilal said yes. And I think Leon said yes. And then I think the UFC went, we can't do this for 300 main event. The fans will hate this, which is a shame because I think it's a good fight. Will it be the most exciting fight in the world? I'm not sure that it will. But is it a deserved kind of fight? 100%. But I think the UFC just went, we can't do this for the main event of 300. So Bilal was out. That's one of them. I think Khamzat is the other one because I'm hearing the rumours, but I still don't get it. It still makes no real sense to me.
Who's the other?
Sorry?
Who's the other one?
Who is the other one? Well, that's the one where you go, well,
he slams out the equation.
I don't think Shavkat is 300 main event.
No.
So I don't think it would be Shavkat. Although I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC just went, oh, would you do Shavkat? And Leon just went, yeah. But then they decided, oh, actually that won't work. Masvidal?
That's what I don't know. Why would Masvidal not do that?
I think he would do it. I don't. Again,
that's a UFC 300 headliner.
I really think that the UFC put themselves into such a difficult position by promoting this early on before really knowing what they were going to do with it in the manner in which they did. I mean, they've put together, and we'll get onto it, an absolutely stellar card. This card is unbelievable. But I do think Dana made a rod for his own back with the way that he was talking about this, and it made people think of Brock, Ronda, Conor. And even if, that was too kind of pie in the sky for people, they were thinking of Izzy. They were thinking of Izzy Pereira, which I think would have been a much bigger, better fight than this. Maybe Izzy said, I'm not ready to come back yet. He wanted to take a break. Maybe that's what he's doing. I think Izzy going into 300 would be great. Maybe Dricus du Plessis was asked to do this, and he said it's too soon for me. Or maybe they went, because the other thing is, everyone knows they've been scrambling around. It's no secret. John Jones came out and publicly said, I was asked to fight. And if they're going to a guy that we all know is injured, it tore his pectoral muscle or whatever it is, we all know he's injured. So the UFC going to John Jones shows how desperate I think they were for a big star to headline this pay-per-view. And so everyone is then like, well, John Jones said he can't do it. We know that they're running down their list if they're struggling at this point to ask an injured John Jones to do it. So I've now bumped up my fee. So Dricus is now going, where I would have probably accepted $500,000, I now want $1 million or $750,000 or whatever it is. People are using negotiation tactics, and Israel Adesanya would probably be in that bracket as well of going, if you give me the right amount of money, I'll do it. But otherwise, I'm okay. And I know that you maybe need me more than I need you right now because you're desperate for someone to save this 300 main event. And I say save in the loosest way because the card doesn't need saving. If you'd have made Justin and Max the main event,
right,
I would have been perfectly happy with that.
This was where I was going to go. I think like the Zhang fight's great. Okay, but the casuals are not going to be super hyped about that, right? So they've delivered this huge fight in Gaethje Max, right?
Yep.
It's fucking incredible. So what that's done then is like, but that's not headlining, so we've got to try and better that. How do you better that? It's not an easy fight to kind of top. And so
they must have thought they had something.
I mean,
because I think people would have been happy with that being the main event.
Absolutely. If they've asked Leon for 3 different opponents, like, I'd love to know. I mean, Dana did say you could make a documentary about trying to make this card happen. I hope at some point, I mean, someone did ask him in the 298 post-fight conference as well, who were them 3 opponents, and he just was like, nah, no chance.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested to know, as we know with UFC, things come out in the end, and I'll be interested to know what comes out in the wash here and what we do find was discussed and what didn't happen, because this fight is not more exciting than Gaethje Max on paper. Like for the fans, like they're going to look at Jamal Hill's not star quality yet. Like, former champ, and as we discussed, the nature of why he's not a champ anymore. Pereira's super exciting fight style, but I just think looking through all the sort of social media posts from the UFC about this and seeing what lots of fans have been saying, it's very split. There's lots of people just gone, oh, Dana literally looks like he's trying not to cry as he's announcing this. But I think for people that really love UFC, they're looking at this and going, this is a great fight. Because apart from the Paul Craig loss, like, Jamal Hill's looked great.
Yeah.
And Pereira, oh my fucking life. I mean,
it is a fantastic fight.
Yeah.
It's a really brilliant fight. It's because it's not what people were sold, UFC 300, you won't believe your eyes, blah, 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 blah. And this, I'm like, no, I can believe it. This is fine. This would headline. So the UFC are going to Rio, I think they've announced, for UFC 301. I wouldn't be surprised if this was in the works for that. And then they just went, oh, well, they want the fight. Let's just pull it a month earlier.
If they're putting a UFC on in Brazil, like, Pereira's your man. Of course he is. Pantoja's not big enough.
Well, I think he would be if he had a good kind of opponent.
Yeah.
But you've got Moreno versus Royval coming up.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Moreno versus Albazi.
Yeah.
And I think he only just smashed Royval. He beat Moreno as well. All right, it was a great fight, but he's beat both those guys. I think Albazi stepping in would have been better, but I think Albazi's injured. Cap can't make weight. So who have you got at 125 that's going to take on... did you get Henry Cejudo out of retirement now? Take on Pantoja in Brazil? See if he can make the weight? I don't know. I just don't know what you do with that to make a Brazilian headline. I mean, Jailton Almeida has a fight coming up against Curtis Blade. I can't remember when that fight is.
They'll stack the card.
But they could do Aspinall versus Almeida. Aspinall in enemy territory in Brazil, potentially. But yeah, I don't think there's like a huge amount that you could do. This was the fight that should, I think, have headlined that card, maybe. This could headline almost any card and be, it's good. Exciting fight style. Jamal never lost his belt. He just injured his Achilles and all that stuff. So this is a great fight. I look forward. There's the whole Jamal beat Glover and that's Alex's boy. So there's a storyline there. This could headline any card. It doesn't feel like it's a special fight to headline 300. It feels like this could headline 301 in Rio, or it could headline 302 in Vegas, or
Did
whatever.
anybody see that announcement and go, fucking hell, amazing? No. Like, I think everybody, I was like, okay.
Yeah. It'll be a fun way to end the night.
Yeah.
The card is going to be stacked. If you've got a picture of the card itself, the card is outrageous. No one should be complaining about the card. We were sold an idea of a 300 main event. Everyone just, and including us, I suppose, for, oh my God, they're talking about this in such a way. It's going to be something just huge, absolutely amazing. We've never seen anything like it before. And instead, what we've got is, I think we've got a card the likes of which we've maybe never seen before. It's going to be top to bottom phenomenal.
Any one of these fights on the main card could headline a card. Like, they're absolutely fantastic. Every single fight is fantastic on here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we won't go into it in depth because we're obviously going to do a 300 pre-show closer to the time. But at the moment, kicking the thing off is
this
Calvin
is the main card, not the prelims.
Yeah. It's Calvin Cater versus Sterling.
Great fight.
Yeah, up at featherweight. I mean, it'd be great to see what Aljo brings to the table here. I think, to kick off a main card with Aljo Cater, he's fantastic. And
not to mention on the prelims, you've probably already you've had Holly Holm and Kayla Harrison.
Kayla Harrison's debut.
You've had Cody Garbrandt, Figueiredo, Bo Nickel will be on the card. I'm not hugely into the Bo Nickel thing, but a lot of people are. And there's probably others that I'm forgetting as well. There's some huge fights that are on that card.
I think the conversations have gone that way. That like, look, they've got this. Look at the prelims. Look at this. Pereira Hill, it's fine, but I think
they could have just left it as Gaethje Holloway. Though I genuinely think you could just go, that could headline that card, no problem, and then you save Hill and Pereira for 301. I don't think there would have been any problem there.
They talked a big game,
and to get 3 title fights on there, I guess.
Yeah. And then we've got Yuri versus Rakic.
Great fight.
I mean, oh my God, that's phenomenal.
Chaos.
Oliveira versus Sarukian.
Oh my God, so good.
Obviously, Max Gaethje. And then Yang Jinan versus Zhang Weili.
This is going to be a stay-up card, isn't it?
Oh, all day long.
I think. I don't know if we can do something fun. If you've got any ideas of what we can do for this card, please let us know, because we're basically 2 old men that just like to get our sleep a lot of the time. But I kind of feel like we might have to. This is on my son's birthday, though. I've just realised.
Oh dear.
So if he has a little party or something like that, I don't know how that's going to go down. But we've got to try and do something.
I mean, if you've not watched the episode where Blake's wife actually talks about losing her husband to MMA, I don't think this is a good follow-up to then being your son's birthday.
My 6-year-old comes and I lost my dad to MMA. Daddy, why did you miss my birthday? I was really tired. I watched UFC 300. He does know UFC 300 is on his birthday.
Yeah.
Like that, I have talked about it.
Yeah.
And he is like, why is 300 on my birthday? I'm like, I don't know, mate. They've screwed Daddy over.
Son, we need to have a talk.
Your birthday's been moved. you are now born on the 14th of April, not the 13th.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And to be honest, I think unless we was going to get something a little bit freakish, like a former legend coming back, like I think this is a great fight, and I think lovers of MMA are going to know that this is going to be a great fight. And I think, a majority of the casuals are going to go, oh, Pereira's fighting. He knocks people out spectacularly. So, I mean, how do you see this fight playing out?
Oh, man, I think it could be chaos. I imagine Pereira will win because I can't imagine that Hill will do anything kind of wrestle-based. But if he did, that would be the smartest thing to do, I think. Because I think if he just opens up the potential for a takedown, Jamal Hill's striking is very, very good. And so it would make sense that if he just gives Pereira that little extra thing to think about. If Pereira thinks he's going into a kickboxing match, I think Pereira wins. If Pereira thinks he's going into a kickboxing match, but then in the first 30 seconds, Jamal shoots a takedown, maybe gets it, maybe Pereira gets back to his feet, all of a sudden Pereira's mind's going, oh, I've got something else to think about now, and that will open up Jamal's striking even more. And I think this fight could be a knockout in the first round, could be a war that goes 5 rounds. You don't know with these two, but I definitely think it's a great fight. It's just, and on the night it will be brilliant. Do you know what? It's not 300 worthy in its expectation and the star power and all that stuff, in my opinion. But what it will do is you will probably get a fantastic fight to end the night. And it's like there's this thing that oh my God, who's the guy that, this is a really weird analogy or whatever, but who is the guy that wrote Love Actually? Richard Curtis. Yeah. He wrote Love Actually and Battle Boy and all those big movies from the 90s and noughties that were the rom-com British movies and stuff. And he had a thing where he would say, if it's TV, you need the first 10 minutes to be amazing because that makes people sit down. But with the film in the cinema, it needs to be that the last kind of 10, 15 minutes were amazing because that's what people go out and talk about. So it doesn't matter if there was a iffy moments or if the last 10, 15 minutes is great, everyone will go out feeling good and all that stuff. This is that. It doesn't have, you don't have the expectation of, oh, it's a star, it's this, it's whatever. But what you will get is a fight at the end of the night that will not be boring. It will be exciting. And the last fight of the night will send everyone home, or in our case, to bed, going, wow, that was awesome.
Right. So, and I completely agree with everything you've just said there. And that's my argument why I do actually think this is going to be really good. Because say you got Brock back, right? And Brock fought Aspinall, right? Aspinall destroyed Brock Lesnar comfortably, very, very easily. You bring Ronda back, Misha's been fighting regular. Misha probably wins that fight, and you're just seeing a legend come back. And like when we saw Nick Diaz come back, the idea of it sells the card hugely. But when you actually see it put into practice, it's very underwhelming. Whereas this is the flip of that. I think it's not got that, oh my God, but I think you get absolute fireworks because it's Pereira and Jamal Hill. I mean, let's not sleep on him. He's done nothing wrong apart from that weird arm break with friend of the show, Paul Craig.
And playing basketball where he smashed up his Achilles.
And that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all in all, you've just got to step back, not focus on that headline card. And if you do, just go and watch both of their highlight reels because there's nothing boring there.
Nope.
But just take a little step back and look at the main card. And if you're weird and that doesn't deliver everything you'd ever want from a UFC event, take another step back and look at the prelims as well. And if that ain't enough for you, then you're fucked in the head.
I love that. Really scientific analogy there from Stu Whiffen. It's going to be a phenomenal card.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a really fun main event, actually. Yeah. And the more we talk about it, the more I'm sort of into it, actually.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay if you are slightly disappointed finding out this news. I think that's totally okay.
Yeah.
Because there was a huge build-up.
Yeah.
And it's not quite... And you can tell that it was, I think, down the list of fights because they've gone to Leon 3 times. Not to mention they must have gone to Izzy. They must have gone to Drickus. Maybe they went to Aspinall as well. Yeah, Khamzat's, and who knows if they did have a legend in their back pocket that they thought might come back but didn't.
They must have reached out to a GSP or a Brock just for the phone call.
Yeah, maybe Khabib. I don't know. Like, there's definitely worlds in which there were. I think there was a lot of other people higher up the list than this fight.
Absolutely,
and I think you can sort of tell that in the manner in which it was announced. Mm-hmm. I think if they were doing a fight with a star, they would have put together like a big video package, or they would have announced it in a way where it sort of feels slightly buried under Topuria beating Volk.
I don't think that was an accident either.
No, I don't think there are any accidents with that kind of stuff. I mean, they plan it well and they know what they're doing with a lot of these things. So I think it's okay to go, is that what the main event is? I'm slightly disappointed.
Yeah.
But when you then start thinking about it and imagining that fight taking place, and imagining being there at like 5 a.m, going, what's next? Oh, Alex Pereira, Jamal Hill. I'm kind of excited about it. That will be a fun fight. And I think you'll enjoy it.
As we get closer to it, they are going to ramp up all of the promo. And promo of Alex Pereira don't get a lot better.
And just a stony-faced man.
Absolutely. And I think, the face-off, he's going to come out in all the regalia that he does. Yeah. Loving it. And like
Jamal Hill's got new like diamond teeth or something like that, has he?
I mean, I'm loving this. I'm loving this. I did not know that. And also, I mean, we've spoke to Jamal. If you've we've been going maybe a year when we was lucky enough to get a conversation with Jamal
before he became champ, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So he talks about the arm break with Paul Craig and then going out on the piss with him afterwards.
It was a good chat, and he does a really good Cockney accent as well.
He does.
I remember. So check out our episode with Jamal Hill.
Absolutely. I think we're done.
I think that's it. That's your UFC 300 main event has been announced. We've reacted to it. Let us know how you feel about it. Are you disappointed? Are you actually secretly like, yeah, no, I think this is a good fight? Have you been talked round by us? Because I kind of think in our conversation, I've come more round to the idea of the fight being a really good fight.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Let us know what you think.
And also let us know who you think you'd like to have seen now. Because if there was something, let us know who you think Leon's been offered. Just get commenting and get involved. And while you're doing that, click the subscribe button and then you won't miss any of it, because we've got some great guests coming your way soon. We've got plenty more happening in the studio. Subscribe.
And if you haven't seen it yet, I believe if it's not out already, it's coming at you very, very soon. UFC 298. We're recording this on the Monday after UFC 298. So our UFC 298 post-show will also be available. We talked to Topuria Volk. Quite sad about Volk, if I'm honest. But we talk about that. We talk about Whittaker. We talk about Merab. We talk about Ian Gary. All that stuff. So go and check that out as well.
Absolutely. Right. We'll see you next time.
Bye.